Hello and happy gaming, everybody. That's just a habit at this point. Take it however you want, but my name is Dark Sage Walker, and today with a pretty much landslide in the votes. Hey, enjoy that I'm facing down but attacking to the left glitch there. There you go, and now it's fixed. Or not. Fix optional. Alright, but with an overwhelming number of votes in comparison to its competitor, we are going to be doing the EA-themed run, so thank you everyone for voting. Now, let's get into this. As we all know, EA stands for Electronic Arts, which has multiple times won the Worst Company in America award, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's actually get into the run. So we're going to be starting with Avarice, which is going to increase my gold gain. And to stack right on top of that, we're going with the Glove of Midas, because, as we all know, for a company like EA, you'd rather have no money than some money if you can't have all of the money. So we're going to do our best to get all of the money. And everything that we have here is basically representative of the idea that we have things that, at least on paper, look pretty good, but when you try putting them together, it's a little bit off. Like, Crystalline Balestra, pretty good, but when you don't have a run that's built around the idea of keeping enemies at arm's length, it becomes a little odd. Tracer Barrage, really good, but when you're not focused on critical hit damage, it looks a little eh. Wind Slash. Functionally it's fine, but it's really not that good. And whatever the vines are called, that's how often I use that. Snare Track. Again, functionally fine, but really nothing to write home about. It just kind of goes along with everything EA stands for. It's just bland, homogenized, every now and again with a smattering of something that could be considered decent in some field or another. It's all just designed to try to keep them in the public spotlight long enough to earn the money. That's really all it is. And that's EA in a nutshell. Electronic Arts. They're functionally existent. I also like to preface this by saying that the last time I tried using the Avarice robe, I actually failed the run. Because the way I looked at it, well, it's not even that I failed it intentionally, but what good does having all the money do for you if you can't get anything done with it? So, the theme of this run is going to be trying to have all of the money and seeing what we can do with it. Okay, so fortunately, there we go, so we're going to upgrade Wind Slash. I'm not in love with the idea, but we'll do it. And we'll upgrade Snare Track to have a little bit more of an aggressive usage. Again, not in love with the idea. Now, I suppose the question that should be on your mind right now, and it's definitely something I'm sure some of you thought is, hey, Dark Sage, you really don't like Electronic Arts that much, so why are you doing a theme run about them? And, you know, take it however you want. What I'm basically doing is, well, let's not even beat around the bush. We're poking a little bit of fun at their expense. See, the whole idea behind this run is the only thing EA really cares about is money, so instead of going with something more proven or even more sensible, we're just going with a build that's just about the money. That's it. Because, as we all know, the whole point of EA's existence is just the money. And what's particularly funny about Electronic Arts is that I remember them from the old, like, SNES and Genesis days. Because back then, it was hard to really get a feel for what was and wasn't really good. There weren't a lot of publications out there. Well, I mean, there were publications, but oftentimes the games that Electronic Arts would put out were, let's just say it how it is, indie. So you had weird kind of like third-party, like generic-ass titles that you couldn't really judge because because honestly, what the hell were they even releasing? And in case you're wondering, that includes things like, you know, James Pond. Like, an entire idea for a platformer based on a goddamn pun. It's just a pun! Like, nothing... Like, I can't even... I'm not even sure if there was anything that was inspired by anything. It was just, hey, look, we're gonna make a game based on James Bond. He's a fish. James Bond is a fish. Why? I don't fucking know. Pay us money. I don't know how many people even know what I'm talking about right now, but that's one of my earliest memories of Electronic Arts is, what the fuck is James Bond? Like, even as a kid, I knew that this was some horse shit, and I had no interest in whatever the bleeding hell they thought they were doing with that idea. And at no point did I ever think that's, you know, just, is James a fish? Man, why didn't you just call him James Cod? And I guess the obvious answer is that it doesn't rhyme with James Bond. Oh, okay. Okay, so you're gonna try to pass off this garbage and pretend like any of us give a damn. So, yeah. So the whole point of this run is we're going to see how far we can get just relying on our cash flow alone. We're not starting with any sort of bonuses to attack power, no bonuses to critical hits. Even the Arcana that I chose to start with are kind of lackluster because that is the theme of the run. Is we're starting off kind of eh. And we're seeing what we can do with money alone, because that's what EA did. And I'd like to point out that them doing, like, almost exclusively, like multi-platform third-party stuff, that's par for the course for EA. And a lot of devs and publishers at the time, that's kind of what they did. Oh, hello. We have here. I am actually very surprised. That's quite a present, I gotta say. But this begs the question, does EA deserve that kind of a present? Do they really deserve that? You've watched my channel long enough, hopefully, to know what I think. The answer to me is, of course, hell no! EA hasn't earned shit. Not the least of which being given respect. And honestly, if you can't even say that you've earned respect from anyone, then how can you say that you're a company worth time? But I mean, Of course, the obvious answer to that is, well, they make billions. They have to be worth something. It's like, oh, monetarily, sure, but they've earned that money in the most absolutely creatively bankrupt way possible, and that's really not a good thing to have to say, considering that they are in a field that is, in and of itself, one that's supposed to be creative. That's not to say that any other publisher or developer gets a free pass. What it means is that, you know, if you want... See anything good here? I mean, the flip-flops, but... Admittedly, not finding anything really great there, but we'll take the flip-flops. What the hell? We'll just buy ourselves some semi-tangible invulnerability. Why not? But, like I said earlier, they earned themselves the reputation of being one of the worst companies in America. And they did that primarily by doing things like, you know, charging through the nose for things that shouldn't necessarily be charged for. By, you know, lying through their teeth about all sorts of things. And it's not like that reputation isn't exactly well earned. I mean, do I even need to talk about the whole surprise mechanics thing? And you know how they're quite ethical and quite fun. Oh, poor Carrie Hopkins. I guarantee that she knew she was in a no-win situation, and instead of owning up to that, she's like, nope, reading the script. Is there a good way to... I don't know. There we go. Not bad. Alright, so what's available here? We got... Well, I mean, I can basically just buy my way into a better basic. Which, again, is the whole point of this run. We're just trying to buy our way into things that are better for us. Kind of like EA bought their way into the Star Wars license. And you saw what they did with that. That's right, they did essentially nothing! Nothing with the Star Wars license! How do you have such a worthwhile license and do nothing with it? Well, that's not true. They did release Jedi Fallen Order, but believe me when I say that that was more so the will of Respawn Entertainment, and the only reason why they got to do what they wanted with it is because they essentially told EA to piss off. It's like, hey, get your fucking mitts off our idea here. We're doing something with this. And all I can say is that, hey, if EA had been a little bit more persuasive, we would have had that... Yeah, I don't think there's any effective way I'm going to be able to get Dr. Song's services without losing something that I actually want. The two criteria that we're working with here is it's going to be an unenhanced Arcana that she takes, and at least first, and it's going to be the first one that we had. So at the moment, she'd be taking Crystalline Balestra. And if I take that off and then go and buy just some fodder from Iris, then she's going to take binary splashdown, which I also want. Basically, where I'm caught in a no-win situation here to try to use Dr. Song's services. Instead of trying to force it, I'm just going to move forward. Like, the one good thing we got out of that is that we got a better basic. Mirror shield and cushion flip-flops are getting all sorts of work done. There we go. And, I mean, I'll take Spark Array, mostly just because I don't want Heroic Leap, but, again, you know, not a whole lot I can really do with that effectively. Actually, that's not entirely true. If I look at what I have, and I'm going to stick with what I got. Having multiple jumps isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially because we have the soccer cleats and the bunny ears. But I haven't forgotten a lot of the crappy things that EA has done. I haven't forgotten about Star Wars Battlefront 2. Oh, look at me suck. Obviously I haven't forgotten about fucking surprise mechanics. And I would argue, no, you should never forget these things, because these are the sorts of things that over the last few years have defined the gaming industry and made it seem like a complete shit show. To anyone just watching, just from the sidelines, it would look like everything that happens in the gaming industry is a complete mess. And even though that to some extent people who think that would be right, it doesn't mean that there aren't good things that happen. The number of independent developers out there making just really solid A+ efforts, like Hades, like Binding of Isaac, we'll buy that to improve our signature, like Undermine, like really creative platformers like Panzer Paladin, or like some of the interesting indie horror games that are out there, like Limbo and Inside come to mind. To be fair, I'm not sure if they're necessarily supposed to be horror games. Oh, look at me suck. Like, those are some of the good things that have happened in the industry, and I would be lying if I said that EA didn't have any hand in something like that. Their EA Originals line is essentially them going, hey, these guys look like they're making something good, how about we throw them a bone? But I mean, that of course comes with the idea that it's really just them making a cynical cash grab. I mean, how many of these devs do they actually think have promise, and how many of them are going, hey, I wonder if this is going to be the next hot thing in indie gaming, why don't we just purchase that? Like, when you're looking at people who are making independently developed games, you're not just looking, it's not fucking Secret Millionaire here, people. Take that. And I'll probably come back once I have a little bit more spare change here to buy the Thunder Drop upgrade. Because right now, my build is very much looking like it's geared towards jumping. Because that's what I found. It's not even what I purchased, it's what I found. Maybe that should be a sign to all the greedy devs out there. It's not about how much money you have, it's about your artistic integrity and merit. It's about the things that you do, not about how much you have. And speaking of things that they've done, this is also the same publishing company that essentially took notice of Visceral Entertainment and, you know, helped them publish Dead Space, and Dead Space was fucking amazing. And then they were like, oh wow, what do we do with this? And then they made Dead Space 2, which is good, but you were starting to see the EA influence sink in. Like, it looked like it was becoming more homogenized. Like, one of the things that really made the original Dead Space interesting is that there wasn't a lot of dialogue in the game, at least not from the main character. A lot of what was going on in the game were events that are being told. Were events happening around the main character, Isaac Clarke, of course, that he didn't necessarily talk about, but they were definitely happening. So it's essentially the story was going on around him, and the whole idea was you had to pick up on the pieces and figure it out for yourself. The important part was derelict spaceship, creepy monsters, try not to die. That was the important part. And EA managed to morph it so that by the time it got to Dead Space 3, it was, hey, why don't you buy all this convoluted crap so you can make cool weapons? Oh no, don't worry, we're not gonna make you wait to get that. You can just drop us a few bucks and we'll give you the materials. No problem. And that was it. That was the end. No one liked Dead Space 3, and the only people that did were people who, for the most part, were just looking for something to play and were willing to forgive the egregious murdering of the tone of the original Dead Space. Basically, they didn't care about the integrity of the one that was good, or what made it interesting and, I mean, you know, visceral. It wasn't about the gameplay, it wasn't about the storytelling method, it was simply about consuming. It's like, it says Dead Space, so I'm going to consume it. But it has nothing to do with Dead Space. And now it's gone from Isaac Clarke being this poor, unfortunate sap who's caught in the middle of it all, to now being like he's a fully voiced protagonist, and, you know, now it's all about him instead of about what's happening around him. And true, he had some things that were going on in the first game that were a part of his character, but they were things that he didn't need to comment on. There wasn't an excess of dialogue to get the point across about the character. It was all very skillfully put together, and, you know, those of us who really cared about the game and about, you know, the artistic medium that video games come up in, that it was a very satisfying game. Like, I was watching my buddy play it, like my roommates, and, you know, this isn't like any time recently, this is a while ago, back when, you know, Dead Space was something we were talking about. And the whole time I was going, yeah, this is pretty good, I can see myself playing this. I'm not big on horror games. Like, I have never played a game in the Five Nights at Freddy's Yeah, Five Nights at... I was about to say Five Nights in Freddy's, and it's like, no, we'll leave that up to the people who like to write fan fiction, thank you very much. But I've never played a game at the Five Nights at Freddy's series. I know Resident Evil mostly thanks to the one that everyone knows, Resident Evil 2. God, I suck. And it's not even, I'm not talking about the new one necessarily. I'm talking about the original Resident Evil 2. Like, I don't go out seeking the Resident Evil games. I've never played Slender. Like, I don't go seeking out horror games. It's just not my thing, and yet that game made me go, this looks like it could be fun to try. And then, yeah, that certainly flew out the window. Because, as I've already alluded to, in Dead Space 3, by then, it wasn't even a horror game anymore. It was just, here's our Uncharted-esque action set pieces, give us money now. It's like, but this was never supposed to be like a big action set piece style game. Like, and again, you could see that starting in Dead Space 2, when, like, the big one that most of us know is the needle that he's using to do his own eye surgery. It's like, first of all, doing your own surgery? Sir, you do know how these things work, right? But I mean, again, that was because he was alone on another derelict ship. Why do I keep saying that? He's alone on another derelict ship, and he's gotta, work things out for himself, but he's a mechanical engineer. He's smart. Again, that's not anything negative. That's just, this is the character. I thought it was over here. Nah. 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 But even that, with that big, it was a big, like, dynamic set piece. It was like its own cutscene. It wasn't something that you were playing and trying to come to an understanding of. It was, here's us throwing all the money at the screen. You guys should just automatically love it because it's Dead Space. It's like, sorry, just because it says Dead Space doesn't mean it's automatic. It doesn't mean it deserves automatic praise, people. And that's something that I think EA has long since forgotten, because now they make all the loot box money with Ultimate Team modes. Well, I mean, Dark Sage, if you were looking to use surprise mechanics, how come you didn't take the Curious Relic? Because I've already done a mystery box episode this week, and that's not what this is supposed to be. No, this is just talking about Furious Tempest. That's the one you throw, right? That's a maybe. Again, I've got a lot of things that are boosting my jump spell, so I kind of want to stick with those. Especially since Wind isn't going to be very effective against Zeal. Beautiful. Alright. So I think I have a decent combo, but what I need is just a slightly higher damage output. Keep in mind, this This is Taffy as he's appearing on floor 3, which means that his recovery time for his recovery time is the term I'm looking for. Is now much lower than it was on the other floors, or at least low enough that you need a little bit more than just, you know, spells. You need to know A, which order to cast them in to forge a decent spell combo, and B, health increase. Do I even care about that? I'd kinda like a little bit more offense. This isn't necessarily going to do the job, but I mean it's something. And also is a nice metaphor for EA's avarice. It's like, what? It does the job. It's supposed to. It gives you more attack power, doesn't it? It's broken. It only gives you a tiny bit of attack power. And they're going, well, there you go. It gives you attack power. You know, you got this all wrong. It doesn't work. The way that you designed this, it doesn't work. It's like we're not playing football. We're playing football themed slot machine. And they're like, yeah, but you just said it yourself. It's football. It's football. No, you guys don't understand. What? Give us money? No, that's not how this works. You told us we're playing a football simulator. You have the NFL license. You are supposed to be the ones delivering a football simulator. Right, give us money. More money now? Man, you want to talk about just what they've been doing with FIFA and the NFL via the Madden series. Like, again, they have the exclusive rights to that. They don't have to try because for them, there's no competition. Like, they're, by all rights, the only ones who are capable of making simulation football games. And have they done that successfully? I mean, if your only measure is they made a bunch of money off of FIFA Ultimate Team, or, I'm sorry, Madden Ultimate Team, because there's such a difference. The difference, of course, being whether or not you like round or egg-shaped balls, then, yeah, by that metric, sure, they succeeded. I can actually open this. Oh, Cabby's raw chocolate. Cabby's made himself some raw chocolate. Take binary splashdown. I like what I'm seeing here. All of these are good, but I don't know. Yeah, pretty much. The run has decided that I'm going to be using a lot of jump arcana. Because once again, our money didn't exactly get us a winning formula here. If what we really wanted is a winning formula, you have to start with something good. Hear that, all you executives at Electronic Arts looking to find that next big thing? You can't just throw money at the screen and then develop the same game year after year. You have to start with something that works and refine it. That is why you're the most hated company in America, because your gains are very much ill-gotten. You're not actually developing anything or doing anything to advance the medium of video games. You're just saying, yeah, pay us for these things. Pay us for all these digital goods that a year from now will be completely defunct because we've essentially hit the reset button on your progress. And if you don't think that's what they're doing, ask how many people got to hold over their Ultimate Team progress from year to year. Just pose it as a casual question. Hey, you play this game, don't you? Yeah. have you been keeping your progress from year to year? Like that really awesome team that you built with all those really popular and really good players. Did you get to keep that from, you know, Madden 20 to Madden 21? Or, as I'd like to say it, the game that looks exactly the same no matter how you look at it in a mirror? Did you have to do anything to earn that? Was it an in-game challenge, or was the only challenge figuring out how it worked into your budget? And then did that money get you anywhere, or you have to spend it again? I'm sure there'll be some very interesting answers. It'll be quite enlightening. But, I mean, let's face facts here. We all know what the answer will be. It's like, I've never been able to keep my progress from year to year. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, that's what I thought. Now, I did get myself a little bit sidetracked, so back to what I was saying about Dead Space 2. You could, like, just that one scene with the, like, eye surgery, you could already see the essentially EA-ification of Dead Space happening there, because first of all, why did that game need to be 2 discs long? And the answer, of course, is because of all those awesome cutscenes. They were Tebessors. Hot lol. Like, but it's Dead Space. It didn't need cutscenes. The original was good because it was a well-crafted, well-told story. This is a well-crafted and well-told story. It's just got a bunch of horror cliches and, you know, Isaac Clarke yelling at people. That's not very good! Missed the point entirely. Okay, at this point, because I have plenty of money to get the job done, I'm going to drop that. We're going to take Jade's chocolate bucket. And then by Dead Space 3, it was over. At that point, EA had gotten their way, and they said, "Well, Dead Space 2 didn't sell as well as Dead Space 3, so maybe this is why. If you listen to our list of changes / demands, then we'll be back on track in no time." Read answer as. Hold on. Now, how much is Curse Eater's Vest with this on? Increases armor and max health. There we go. 1% armor. Oh yeah. Yeah, that doesn't feel like a waste at all. But once again, very much encompassing the idea of what EA is all about. It's all about the money for them. Hey, we didn't just waste our money changing everything about Dead Space and turning it into a generic action shooter, did we? Like, no, everyone will love it! You know, especially like being able to make their own weapons, which, you know, in a different type of game, yes, but you're asking us to accept that a survival horror series is now going the way of, you know, insert popular third-person shooter here? Sorry, but I didn't pick up Dead Space to play Jet Force Gemini. I picked up Dead Space to play Dead Space. Or I guess Jet Force Gemini is a bit dated at that time, but you know, I think of a more contemporary reference would be Gears of War. If we wanted to play Gears of War, guess what? We'd play fucking Gears of War. But what we wanted was the experience offered in Dead Space, that really highly interesting and compelling take on both sci-fi and survival horror. So when Dead Space 3 didn't sell, they go, okay, Visceral Games, obviously that didn't work. Why don't we take this back to the drawing board and see if you can't make anything as interesting as Dead Space again, because that seemed to work. And, you know, if that's where the story ended, then there probably wouldn't be much to talk about, but that's obviously not where the story ended. The story ended with them just shuttering the entire studio. Because, you know, when your ideas end up causing the studio that you mandated to make that idea to crash, you know, what do you think is the right idea? Give them a chance with a little bit less publisher interference and allow them to craft something on their own? No, the correct answer is to interfere more and then just eventually say, nah, screw you guys, you don't need jobs. That did. I suck. I completely... For whatever reason, I thought that the crystalline Balestra was on the L button. There we go. Gust Volley. I'm going to say no to that one. But I mean, also Visceral is far from the only studio that EA has tanked. Because that's just kind of what Electronic Arts does, is they buy out studios, force them to make something that's, you know, outside of their comfort zone. You know, something that they can, you know, live serviceify the crap out of. I know I just made up a word there, I don't like it. Yay, I suck. I mean, they did it with Visceral. They're working on doing it with BioWare. Like, don't think that that's not the direction things are going with BioWare. I mean, you could see what was happening after. And once again, the warning signs were there. Did no one pay attention to what happened with Mass Effect 2 and 3? And to be fair, EA probably didn't have a huge amount of interference in Mass Effect 2. All of that changed in Mass Effect 3, though. Much better. Even better. Alright. Mass Effect 3, I mean, I never played it because by the time I had cleared out some of my backlog at the time and was getting ready to like sit down and be like, alright, time for some sci-fi RPG goodness. Around then I was hearing like, wait, they did what to the ending? BioWare, what the actual fuck? What's gotten into you? The answer is, of course, EA's big fat dick. So I mean, yeah, I've heard that they're going to give Mass Effect another shot, and you know, honestly, I hope so, because it's a series that has a lot of potential. But I mean, unfortunately, that ball started rolling back in Mass Effect 2, where instead of it being a very interesting sci-fi explanation as to why the guns had infinite ammo, now all of a sudden we're back to the limited ammo systems, and it's looking like your basic run-of-the-mill shooter. And then by Mass Effect 3, there was almost nothing left of the original system at that point. And at that point, it pretty much was just a shooter. Damn it. Okay, these little fuckers gotta go. Okay. Whew, just about got my ass kicked there. He says, noticing he only actually took 150 damage. But, and again, I talked shit about Mass Effect 3, but at least that was still, you know, a part of the trilogy. Well, it was the ending that screwed everything up, and it was obvious that the ending was done that way because they didn't have time to finish it, so thanks, EA. But what really sealed the deal for that was Mass Effect Andromeda. And if you guys don't remember Mass Effect Andromeda, whew, let's just say if you don't remember it, you're better off that way. Most of the rest of us wish we could have Mass Effect Andromeda, like, forcibly removed from our minds, and, you know, with the aid of Bleach, that is possible. And if you haven't read the news report about what happened to Anthem, you know, what was going on within BioWare during Anthem's development, very similar to what was going on with the development of Mass Effect Andromeda. It was a complete shit show, but that's enough about that. EA, their motto is, it's in the game! No, it's not. And I would gladly pay you to stop lying to people about that. It's not in the game. That's a line that you feed people. Jam it up their asses, make them believe that anything is in your fucking games, and it's the end of the episode. This is not a good time for a rant, but there you go. That's Electronic Arts. Thank you guys very much for watching. Tune back in a few days when we give Activision their shot at the belts. And until then, I've got some interesting builds to try out. So thank you guys very much for your time and your consideration. I appreciate you very much. Drop me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. Yes, I am going to start monetizing my videos soon. It's just a matter of putting all the pieces together, really. But that's it for me. We've spent enough time staring at the victory screen, so you guys get back to doing what you've been doing. I'll get back to doing what I do. So as always, I will see you guys in the next video. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you. Fuck EA.